mortals, I return. I basically went and got dinner and uh, watched the tail end of Big Hero 6, and now I'm back. So I was looking at the quality of both the stream, and then also I'm using OBS. So I also looked at like the video that it recorded. And yeah, they both are shit. I'm not even gonna like lie. The quality of both is pretty bad right now. It's just the internet that I have right now. I'm even hooked up to the Ethernet here, which makes me sad because it's supposed to be. I mean, Ethernet is always a little better than the Wi-Fi, but even then, it's not that great. So I'm just gonna keep my fingers crossed for now for when I move in a couple weeks. And once that starts, I have a couple plans. You know, like once I get settled in and actually get to start streaming again, I'm gonna make sure that the quality is better. Look into some ways to make my streams a little better and like a little bit more. I don't know. You know how like a lot of YouTube and like Twitch channels are, where they're a little bit more official and yeah, because literally right now I just kind of go for it because I am a baby streamer, baby YouTuber. So this is the best I got, you know. So yeah, I'm just gonna hope for the best. And I did try something. I tried to make the video output to 1280 times 800 or whatever the pixels was, because it was at a really low thing, and I have no idea if it's going to work or not. I'm noticing that right now it's like 28 frames per second instead of the 30, which is pretty bad. I don't know. We're going to try it because at least my CPU isn't being maxed out. It's using like 38% right now, but I mean, it's a simple game, so you know, there's not a whole lot of movement, so I figure that, hey, if that makes it better, then, you know, that would be great. If not, I'll just have to keep waiting until I get a better situation. This is what I get for being overzealous about trying to start, like, a Twitch thing. But, you know, the whole reason I started this was because, I mean, I play these Otome games anyway. Might as well stream them because I like to give commentary on them. I like to laugh about them. So, you know, that was kind of my philosophy. Hopefully the quality will get better. But for now, I know it's bad, but I'm just going to keep kind of plowing forward as I want to play, just because, you know, it's not like I have a big audience right now. I hope that's not rude to say. But yeah, we're going to keep going. But yeah, I even have a glass of wine. I'm ready. I hope we get some major progress on Erik's route, because, like, it's really interesting, but I'm also, I don't know, I'm, like, a little bored right now of this route, I guess, because part of it is that, you know, like, Erik is more of the seductive type, but because of YouTube and Twitch, like, sexual content restrictors, you know, I can't, like, do the sex scenes, you know, so like it's like loses the seductive charm a little bit, I think. It's not like there's been a lot of opportunity anyway, so it's like not, it's just a weird feeling. I don't feel very like connected to Erik right now. And as usual, I'm all about Diana. Faye's pretty cool though. So we're going to keep going. We just had a moment of peace with Faye. We had a picnic out on this mountain cliff. It was super nice. And now we're going to go to the room, and we're feeling really down about the fact that the spirit that's inside us tricked us into thinking that Erik was the demon lord. So just saying, how would the spirit know what the demon lord looks like unless they knew it? Okay, I'm pretty sure the spirit is Orabelle. I'm pretty sure, especially since it's drawing from my energy, like a succubus or an incubi. Anyway, we're going to keep going. Entering my room, I felt heavy. To think that I had attacked Erik that morning was horrifying. I could have hurt him. I didn't want to hurt him. Then again, I had thought he was the demon lord. I had every reason to be frightened and try to fight. But if he had appeared for real, would I have been able to stop him? I was training, yes, but only to defend myself. Definitely not to kill anyone, especially under Fae. I mean, I've got a thorn bush. My skill set is entirely in hit and run, okay? It is not assassin-like at all. With Shadow's abilities, we could totally kill people, but like with Faye's thorn bush, I mean, we're pretty limited here.
I can help, you know?
Fuck you, spirit. Get out of my head. Huh? Go away! The spirit was enticing me again. The room around me felt frozen in time once more. You can help me with what?
With a lot of things, actually. If you want, I can give you really cool powers.
Yeah, you know, your ploy to get you to stay in my body is not working! Why are you being so friendly?
Huh? I always wanted to help you.
Yeah, right! The spirit was making little sense. I was already training and I was completely tired. I closed my eyes and looked away. I can take care of myself.
Well, if you need any extra power, let me know. I can keep nasty people away, just like last time.
Like last time? But you'll get hurt or I don't want your help. We're gonna go, you know, like, if it's Orabelle once again, I don't want to get on the spirit's bad side. I don't want to get on his bad side, bottom line. So, we're going to be like, but you'll get hurt. My words seemed to silence the spirit for a moment before it spoke again, as if unresolved.
I still want to help you. You shouldn't be pushed around by that icky man.
I'm not pushed around. He's my fiancé. Erik isn't pushing me around.
It's only a matter of time, though.
I looked at the spirit somewhat insulted. Did it really doubt my ability to protect myself? What do you mean?
You're a human. Humans aren't as powerful as demons. Especially not the evil man.
Duh. Also, you know of humans and demons. You're totally a demon. Ugh! Before my eyes, the room around me shifted into the interior of a dungeon. Panicked, I looked around while being trapped in place. Ah, shit. Smoke slowly eased into the space from the dark corners, making me cough and wheeze. What was the spirit doing? Stop it!
Use my magic!
What? I felt a soft glow in my chest. For some reason, I felt calm and the air became easier to breathe in. Was this the spirit's doing? Soon this fire began to peek in and I was surrounded in flames. I wrapped my arms around myself, trying to lean away from the heat.
A human can't survive in the demon world, but I can help you. I can protect you.
Stop this vision now! This was getting ridiculous. How could this be happening? Was I somehow in a dream? This was out of control, and I needed to find some sort of freedom. All of a sudden, the flames around me vanished and I was back in my room, staring into the empty space with the spirit in the middle.
Why won't you let me help you? I'm stuck in your body.
I don't need your help. I have Erik. Those words slipped out. A brief silence followed before the spirit spoke again.
The icky man is related to the evil man, right?
Erik? That came out of nowhere. I nodded, knowing what she asked. Erik is the demon lord's son. What, was the spirit concerned that Erik was evil too? Of course it is! Defend Erik, ignore the spirit. Obviously, we're gonna defend hubby. Just because he's the demon lord's son doesn't make him a bad guy.
Does he really love you?
I stared at the spirit, trying to see where that question was going. It was trying to sway me, so I smiled and nodded. Erik indeed loved me, more than anything. He does. I know it.
And if he doesn't? What if he's lying?
He wouldn't lie to me.
He could be. Demons always lie to get what they want. I was lied to.
You were?
Someone, a person, made a promise to protect me. But they didn't.
Are you talking about your parents? The room became darker and colder as the spirit began to suddenly cry. I felt horrible listening to it weep. Before I could comfort it, though, it vanished into the air, leaving me in the room as time began to forward once more. At the very least, I mean, it's a child, and it's so obviously a child, you know, you can't really reason with children. I mean, you can, right? Like, you should treat all children as human beings, treat them well, you know, try your best to be good to them and to, you know, to guide them through, especially because, you know, they're children. They're little humans trying to learn the ways of the world, right? I mean, hell, I'm still trying to learn the ways of the world, and I get overwhelmed and confused and hurt, and so being a child and not understanding things and, you know, whatever. You get what I'm saying. But it's like, man, this is exhausting, because it's like, you know, you never know when this child is gonna send you into a vision of being engulfed in flames, which, it's totally Orabelle. Orabelle died in flames. She was burned to death. It's Orabelle. It's so Orabelle. I let out a sigh and rubbed my head. This was getting ridiculous. When was I going to be free of the spirit? I was becoming more anxious by the day. Even as Erik came into the room, I felt my worry about the situation grow. I barely noticed as Erik finally entered the room. He slowly entered, most likely cautious from what had happened that morning. As memories of what happened appeared in my mind, I couldn't help but frown. I had attacked him. The spirit was trying to make me hurt the man I loved, and I couldn't have felt more ashamed for falling for its trick. I looked up at Erik with sad eyes, surprising him as he closed the door at last behind him and walked to join me on the bed. Erik, I'm so sorry.
Love, it's all right.
No, it's not. Erik wrapped his arms around me and nuzzled my head. I closed my eyes and relaxed into the embrace, feeling him gently drain me of energy. I didn't fight back. I felt no reason to.
I know it's not your fault.
Even so. But I almost hurt you this morning. My guilt consumed me as I buried my face in Erik's chest. Erik, in reply, ran his hand over my head and held me close. I was upset, and I had every reason to be. I could only hope that the spirit would be taken out soon. The morning was filled with concern as Diana had gathered us into the war room urgently. Apparently, she had found a way to expel the spirit from my body. Hallelujah, it's not going to work.
Are you sure this will work?
Indeed. This ritual is highly dangerous, but it should permanently sever the ties the spirit has on her body.
Dangerous?
What do you need for this ritual? Is there a way to make it not as dangerous?
I've already looked into finding a safer method. The price for it is sadly too high to justify.
What is the price, then?
Let me deal with it when it comes. For now, we must prepare. Training today will be unnecessary. We need to prepare everything, and it will take a good majority of the day.
The day?
Indeed. However, once the spirit is severed, we can trap it and see why it was so keen on attaching itself to you.
It's strange. Why would a demon spirit pick a human to latch itself onto?
Well, what are we waiting for? Let's get going!
What do we need to do?
You all need to be here in case something goes awry. As for you...
Diana looked at me and gestured to the table, which was cleared save for a small pillow. Oh, great! I bet you I get to go to sleep. Oh, man. I'm just imagining being like, good night, guys.
Lie down, and I'll prepare the rest.
Oh, baby. All right, lie down for you anytime. I nodded and walked to the table. Erik, being the gentleman he was, helped me onto the surface. I gently leaned back and got comfortable, shifting the pillow beneath my head.
She will lock herself within her mind and speak to the spirit. If the spirit is angered enough, it will take over the body. Basically, we're going to force the spirit to gain complete control of her body.
Whoa, what? Why would we do that? I actually sat up as everyone else turned to Diana in shock.
And why would we want that?
Yeah, really. Diana pressed her lips together, seeing the sudden flare of anxious anger around her, before she turned to me.
Once the spirit has full control, then I will perform a spell that will rip it from your body, leaving it open for possession. Being that your soul will still be in the body, you'll regain full control after the fact.
Wait, so what happens if you accidentally pull her soul out?
Yeah.
That's what makes this spell dangerous. It takes a large amount of energy and will only work if everything goes smoothly. I won't know for sure whose soul I'll be pulling until you wake up.
Oh, fuck. What?
You're not even sure it'll work.
That didn't ease my worries. Diana glared at Damien, who simply gave a cold stare back. Yeah, this is too risky.
I would not suggest reading my mind again, bastard son.
Hey, shut the fuck up.
Now's not the time to bicker. We need to make sure this goes smoothly.
If it goes wrong, the spirit could absorb her soul.
What?
Oh, fuck. I suddenly froze in place. The spirit could absorb me? What do you mean? Diana sighed and crossed her arms, pressing her lips together once again. However, her eyes made it clear that she believed this ritual would work.
The spirit within you is a very powerful being, despite it being a child. It is a demon, but we don't know what kind of demon it is, so we have to assume that it is the worst kind. A soul eater.
A soul eater?
A very rare breed of demon who feeds on both energy and souls. It doesn't matter what kind of soul it is, as long as it's a soul, it's edible.
They're only as powerful as the souls they absorb, which makes them the worst kind of demon.
But didn't they die out long ago?
As I said, we don't know if it is one or not, but we have to assume that it is for safety.
Diana glared daggers into my soul, as if she was trying to glare at the spirit within me instead. Or maybe she wished to instill fear into me. I couldn't tell.
It will offer you power, but if you take it, then it will absorb your soul in exchange. The wording of its offer will grant the demon full power over your body, making it the owner.
Erik gently took my hand and looked at me with more concern burning in his eyes. He was worried and scared. Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious what the correct choice is here. I'm just gonna selfishly mentally prepare. No, I'm gonna comfort him. I gently caressed his cheek. I needed not only to comfort myself, but I needed to show Erik that everything would be alright. No! This is so dangerous! I have not heard a single upside or safeguard in this ritual. Sure, there were doubts about this whole ordeal, but I needed to do this. What? No, I don't. I'll just keep the spirit, it's fine. It's fine. Erik gently held my hand and kissed over my knuckles, slowly calming down. It would be alright. No! I had to mentally prepare. I closed my eyes and took a few breaths before looking to Diana. I'm ready. I am so not ready. Diana nodded as I slowly leaned back and relaxed once again on the table. Erik still held my hand, waiting to be told to let go. Surprisingly, Diana didn't request it of him.
Keep holding her hand. If something happens, you must get into her mind and aid her.
That's a good idea. Erik nodded, as did I. Diana hovered a hand over my face, my gaze pinned on her palm. What was she doing?
Close your eyes and sleep. This will seem like moments for you, but it will be hours for us.
Well, shit. That sucks. I nodded and closed my eyes. Almost as soon as I closed my eyes, some sort of energy began to take hold of me. Was this Diana's doing, or the spirit's? My nerves began to tingle and my body felt light as a feather. Energy ebbed and flowed through my body, and I felt like I was falling through water. The space around me became thick with calm and almost emptiness. Was this a forced dream?
I know what you want to do.
Ooh. Finally, the spirit made itself known. The space around me brightened to reveal a patch of forest. The image of my surroundings flickered and swayed slightly, reminding me that this was only illusion in my head. In the center of the space, however, appeared the spirit in its orb shape. Would I ever see what the spirit actually looked like? I finally walked over and stood before the spirit. We're doing this so you can get out of my body.
But what if I don't want to leave?
I suddenly became afraid. The spirit didn't want to leave? The air became cold as the spirit bobbed up and down in place casually.
In here, I'm safe from the evil man. He can't find me here, and he can't hurt me.
Oh shit, man. Well, if it's scared of the evil man, we're killing him, right? The spirit stopped bobbing in the air and pulsed a wave of energy, shaking the forest around us gently.
How can you kill the evil man?
We've been preparing to for days. The spirit circled around my form in observation.
I can help you, though. I really, really can.
I don't give a shit. I'm not listening anymore.
No, listen, I can. I can protect you from being hurt! Really!
The forest began to quake and suddenly shifted to a sight I hadn't seen in a while. My heart suddenly became light as I gazed at the room around me. My room.
My dear.
Oh, God! Oh, no! Suddenly I felt a pair of arms wrap around me. They felt like snakes, slowly sliding along my body, with one across my chest and the other around my waist. Both pressed my back slightly against a warm and somehow familiar body. The snakes! No snakes! No, please. I felt disgusted by the act, but found no strength to fight back. A head caressed my shoulder and the side of my neck with this torturously slow touch.
My sweet, delicious bride-to-be. You'll spurn a demon such as me.
I've got no words. Erik!
I can help you fight him off!
I don't want to fight him off! This was an illusion. This was some sort of trick to make me believe in the spirit. I knew it, but the fear within my body became real as Erik's fingers danced over my body. I didn't want this. Well, fuck. Do I need to have a trigger warning? I really hope this isn't Oh my god. I hope this doesn't turn into graphic rape. Oh, please don't. A warm glow in my chest began to pulsate as a lavender wave of energy pushed against the arms around me.
What the?
Use my magic! Get him off of you!
On its own, the magic in my chest burst forth, forming a barrier around my body and pushing the illusionary Erik away from me. I barely turned in time to see the image fade like dust blown away by the wind. I never imagined seeing Erik vanish before my eyes, but I became witness to the illusion of it, causing my heart to feel torn. I felt tears collect in my eyes, but my mind became chaotic. What was I doing? Stop it! I knew what was happening. The spirit was trying to show me an example. I wouldn't let it influencing me. My scream echoed and shook the room.
Princess!
The image around me quickly reformed to the forest from before, and I watched as Erik appear from the bush. The spirit quickly moved to be near my side as Erik glared at the spirit.
That's enough!
No! I won't do it!
Erik's glare could almost kill. As his ethereal tendrils appeared around him, the spirit began to pulse defensively.
Then you leave me no choice.
Erik lunged forward and charged at the spirit faster than I'd ever seen him move. The spirit put up a large barrier around itself, similar to the barrier it had on me when Zero tried to expel it. Erik's tendrils in rapid succession began to jab and slam themselves into the barrier, attempting to break it.
No!
I had to stop this. I didn't want the spirit to get hurt, but I didn't want Erik to get hurt either. Stop it! Yeah, that was very undramatic. I'm sorry. I ran for them, needing them to stop. The spirit needed to be angry, but not like this.
Princess, stay back!
I won't do it! No!
Yeah, this is definitely Faye's voice actor. The barrage continued without mercy.
Listen to me! I can help you! Don't do this!
With each strike Erik threw at the spirit, the barrier quaked and pulsed with energy. Over and over, the sound of magic clashing reverberated through the space we were in, making the imagery around us vibrate. Erik's face hardened into a look of pure determination and anger. He truly wished to help me and to protect me. But the spirit was still a child. What was he gonna do? We had to make it take control. What? Attack the spirit or let Erik keep going? This is so sad. I don't want to do either, because I don't want to abandon Erik to do what have his will, but I don't want to attack the spirit. But I feel like I have to, because we have to make it take control. Ugh. I wouldn't give up, so I had to aggravate it as well. If making it angry would make it take control, then that's what I had to do. I charged forward. I slammed a fist into the barrier, feeling a hot burn against my skin. However, I knew that I wasn't truly injured. The spirit wouldn't dare hurt me like that.
What are you doing?
I'm sorry. That was so bad. Okay. I'm sorry. Erik increased the speed of his attacks, and soon our barrage on the barrier began to break through as it began to crack and fade with each punch. The spirit started to whimper.
No, please.
My heart felt like whimpering as well, but Enough was enough. I had to fix this. With the final attack, Erik and I landed a blow together, smashing through the barrier and impacting the spirit. To my surprise, the attack landed against what felt like a glass orb. As the final blow made impact with the spirit, a rush of bright light engulfed the area. As it did, I felt my form spasm and flicker, causing me to look down at my hands. Through the blinding light, I could see them trembling as they slowly began to turn transparent. What the? I looked up to see Erik rushing for me, panic written all over his face. What was happening? I began to run for him as his body began to glow a deep red and purple color. Erik! Within a second, Erik reached me and wrapped his arms around me, surrounding us both in a red glow. I felt safe, and the transparency in my hands faded away.
I've got you! Don't let go of me!
I will not. I nodded and gripped Erik tightly, feeling something trying to pull me away. I shut my eyes, focusing on staying close to Erik. Digging my nails into his vest and shirt, I pulled myself against Erik's chest. My breath felt as if it were trying to escape from my lungs, but Erik gently moved my hand to tilt my head and covered my mouth with his. I felt him breathe and replace the air I had lost, desperate to keep me alive. Was I dying? At last, the pull on me stopped and the world around us grew dark. The forest was gone. The spirit was gone. We were safe. Erik pulled away and looked down at me with a small, slow smile. I felt happy and relieved. I had been saved from whatever the spirit tried to do, and I was thankful to him for rescuing me when I needed him. I might have been strong, but being in Erik's arms always made me feel stronger. Erik and I collapsed into each other, closing our eyes and escaping the depths of my mind at last. I wanted to rest a while longer. I felt my body slowly come back to life as I awakened, as if from a dream. My eyes were blinded by the light of the room, but slowly adjusted so that I could see everyone staring at me in relief.
She did it.
They did.
Oh, my stars and garters.
Who says that? I slowly sat up, rubbing my head and looking around. From everyone's faces, no one had rested. How long had we been out? As I thought of Erik, I looked to my side to see him slowly rising from his sleep as well, still holding my hand. I smiled, remembering how he had sat by my bedside the day Diana came for him. Nostalgia hit me hard as I pulled Erik gently to me and wrapped my arms around him.
Love?
I'm here, Erik. My heart felt like singing 1,000 songs. This was all too amazing, and I was as joyful as could be. There was no hint of the spirit left within my body, and I could tell that everything was all right now. I was free to show Erik how much I loved him. Erik wrapped his arms around me and buried his face in my neck, relieved as well.
I'm so happy.
Me too. I ignored the giggles and sighs around us. All I cared about was Erik in that moment. I'm sure Diana's just like, ugh. Diana, however, wasn't so subtle in wanting to interrupt our moment. Erik and I looked over to Diana, seeing her exhausted expression. From her eyes, I could tell she had spent a lot of energy, and I was responsible for that. Shit.
Glad to see that it worked, and that you two are okay. Now, if you'll excuse me, I must rest.
Diana said nothing more as she turned to leave the room. I stopped her. Diana. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
What about the spirit? With that, Diana and the other rebel leaders left the room, leaving the incubi and their wives with us.
Still, we should take some time to do some last-minute training and preparations before heading to bed. We leave first thing in the morning.
Everyone nodded in agreement. I, however, felt the events that had just occurred weigh me down and tiredly lowered my head. I'll just head to the room if that's all right.
Huh? All right. I'll be there soon.
I nodded and waved to the others before heading towards my room and making my way to the bed that called my name. What about the spirit? No! Diana said that she was going to corner it. No! I began to make my way back to the room, but stopped as I heard the sound of whispered voices sneak out through a barely opened door.
So, we're all in agreement?
Oh, no!
We have to. We don't have any choice anymore.
It will be for the better, I'm sure.
Indeed.
I peeked into the room and to see the interior of the library where the 4 rebel leaders stood in a circle. Sergeant leaned against the fireplace mantel while Rabbit and Shadow sat in 2 empty chairs. Faye, however, floated to and fro from side to side in anxiousness. What were they talking about? I was so engrossed in figuring out what was happening in the room that I didn't notice a figure coming up behind me and pushing me into the room. Gah!
Hey boss, found something for you.
Huh? Ah, shit.
I grimaced, now out in the open. The four stared at me with cold eyes, as if they were ready to send me back to the human world as a corpse rather than going through with the siege. I looked up at all of them as I slowly rose to my feet, eyeing each leader, and as I considered running for the door. However, they each looked to each other in contemplation.
Say, you didn't hear anything, did you?
No, I swear.
What was the last thing you heard?
Something about it being for the better. Suddenly I felt the guards of each leader behind me readying their weapons. What the hell? Are they seriously going to kill me for walking by and eavesdropping?
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Hold on, guys!
I felt the guards back away from me slowly, most likely still cautious of me. I let out a small sigh, happy that I wasn't going to die, at least not yet. Rabbit, however, looked at me with an ear twitching in curiosity.
Let us ask first. Do you know what has been truly happening with Diana?
No. I looked at Rabbit, knowing what she meant. Diana had been acting oddly, and it was not boding well. The more I saw of her, I could tell something was seriously weighing her down or influencing her words. Yeah, but what does that have to do with this meeting? As I answered, the other demons looked once again at each other before Shadow stepped forward nonchalantly.
Let's not play the ignorance game. We're going to assassinate the succubus when the war is over.
What?
Oh, what the fuck?
Way to just blurt it out! There's no use in hiding it. We don't know how much she has heard.
I became massively confused. Why were they going to kill her? How are they even going to do it? Why? What good would come out of killing her? Rabbit stood and walked to the fireplace, staring into the open flames. I could tell I was about to get an answer, so I listened intently, wanting to know why they were planning Diana's murder.
Diana, we fear, has become corrupted.
Corrupted? What do you mean?
Meaning, she's going batshit crazy like the Demon Lord.
I furrowed my eyebrows. That couldn't be. She seemed mostly fine, save for a few instances here and there. Sergeant, reading my face, pushed himself off of the mantle and stood up straight, reminding me of his power with his stance. Oh, fuck you.
Human, you hate the Demon Lord as much as we do, correct?
I glared at Sergeant's stupid question. Of course I hated him. He had trapped me here and forced me and the ones I loved to join this war. There was no reason to even remotely like him. At my glare, Faye swooped in between me and Sergeant, waving their arms frantically.
Listen, we're not trying to make you mad, but, well...
This is ridiculous.
Shadow stood from his seat, now clearly irritated, and stepped towards me.
The succubus has gone mad, and if we don't end her life before she takes the throne, then she will become as mad as the Demon Lord. There is no saving her.
You just want the power for yourself, you fucking asshole. Shadow.
Oh, come on, Shadow! Seriously?
No, this is beyond unnecessary. All three of you are complicating the matter when all that needs to be stated is the truth.
How can that be? How is Diana mad like the Demon Lord? None of this made sense. Diana seemed mostly right in her head. However, she was strong enough to lead an army and help me survive until now. She even aided the incubi. These weren't the actions of a madwoman. Shadow rolled his eyes and went back to his seat as Faye put their hands behind their back, swaying a bit in the air.
Well, here's the thing. Here in the demon world, emotions and stuff can be uber powerful. Things like extreme grief or euphoria can even become energies on their own, while other feelings become, well, they can become very, very bad things.
Like madness?
Yeah. Madness is more than just a head-mind thingy. Here in this world, it's like a leech or a virus. When a demon catches it, madness just grows and grows until it consumes them, like it did with the Demon Lord.
Taking in the new information, I looked to the floor, thinking of the Demon Lord and how psychotic he was said to have become. He waged wars and apparently enjoyed burning down kingdoms and slaughtering the innocent. If that was how far madness would take a demon, then I feared for anyone who was capable of falling into it.
You can become mad in multiple ways.
by being born mad or being infected by it. Diana has fought the Demon Lord head-on multiple times during the past 10 years. It was inevitable that she would catch the affliction.
You're full of shit. You can catch madness? How is that possible?
We don't know, but this wouldn't be the first time someone who used to be sane went mad because they were around another crazy demon.
There was an uneasiness around the room. Something told me that none of them believed that this was the true cause. There's more, isn't there?
Huh?
I became bold. If Diana had to die, then there had to be a solid reason, and the madness excuse wasn't enough. Why were they planning it if none of them truly believed it? It's not because she's mad, isn't it? There's something else wrong. The rebels' leaders became silent, letting the tension lay in the air in plain view and giving me my answer. I was right. There was more to the story.
Look, I mean, it's not like I want to, okay?
I looked at Faye, confused. They twiddled their thumbs as they looked at their fellow demons.
The Demon Lord is a bad guy, and we just don't want another demon like him. And Diana's a very, very powerful succubus, you know?
So, what does that have to do with anything? Faye sighed and rustled their hair.
Well, she's like mega powerful and stuff. If she goes mad and takes over the world, we'd be screwed, you know? She can enthrall armies and stuff with just a snap of her fingers. Who knows what kind of damage she could do if she went crazy?
That is not enough to kill someone.
I really don't care what happens after. I just don't want my people killed because of her stupid leadership.
I could tell that Faye was trying to be sensible about the issue, but in her eyes, I could see the fear of the situation. She was probably the only one who believed in her cause that Diana was mad, or at least in danger of becoming so. Rabbit shook her head, tapping her staff on the ground.
Regardless, we can't have you remembering the conversation we had here if we are set on stopping her.
I took a step back, now afraid. Were they really going to kill me? Faye sensed my fear and waved their hands wildly.
Whoa! Hey, hold on! We're not going to hurt you or anything!
That was somewhat of a relief, but what were they going to do? As I took a breath, the shadow spoke up, catching my attention.
I'm curious, human. Do you believe in the succubus?
What? The other rebel leaders looked to Shadow as he placed a hand on his chin and thought and peered into my eyes.
Who do you believe should rule this world? The succubus? Or one of us?
And suddenly I became the focal point of this entire war's resolution. Why was my opinion important? I looked at the floor, trying to mull over his question, and came up with an answer. Diana had saved my life and was doing everything to make sure I could go back to the human world as safely as possible. Still, from how she was behaving, something indeed was seriously off with her. Was she really ready to take the throne? The four rebel leaders before me, however, were all smart and balanced each other out in some shape or form. I could tell that they could all bring peace to the world in some way, but did Diana really have to be eliminated for that to happen? I felt like I was standing on a precipice. I knew that if I sided with Diana, then she would eventually be eliminated by these four unless she found out beforehand. I could warn her, but what if these demons erased my memories or threatened my life? I was balancing on the edge of a knife and had to pick a direction to fall. I closed my eyes and answered Shadow's question. Okay, so far, this is exactly the same as before. So, oh gosh. Okay, so here's my thoughts. I want to say I believe in you all to see if I can get Faye into power and then reload at the very end. Right, like I did before where I killed Diana. And then... And I also want to say I believe in Diana and see what happens then. That's kind of my issue. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to click I believe in you all and see if I get a poison, then I'm just going to reload because I know how that works. I mean, we've seen how that goes. Though, well, because if it's a poison, you could still have Faye go, like, take over in the end, right? Though, I guess Shadow would still take over, I guess? I don't know. I just don't want to, like, risk it, you know what I mean? Like, Oh god, I don't know. I'm gonna save. Did I save already? I think I did. I think we're just saving again. In my desperation. Let's see. Okay, we'll see. I believe in you all. She was right, she was very powerful, and if she was truly corrupted, then she needed to be cut off before she caused any damage. Revenge.
Well.
Should we give it to her?
Yep, it's just the poison. Okay, I don't think it's worth it. So, let's see what happens when we, I believe in Diana. Diana had so much for us, for me. There was no way I could betray her. The four in the room stared at me, taking in my reply.
What does a human know?
Well, we did ask.
Enough. We need to continue this another time. For now...
Robert lowered her staff and pointed the tip at me, causing me to step back in fear.
Et ex memoria de hot loca mentem.
All at once I felt my head completely fill with white noise, causing me to grip my head and fall to my knees in pain. Ugh! I shut my eyes and felt the world spin around me before I relaxed as silence overtook my senses. My body floated for a bit in an empty void before softly landing on a surface, causing me to open my eyes and look around. Huh? What happened? I was in the hallway on the floor. How did I get there? I was on my way to my room. Weird. I stood up, brushed myself off, and looked around, hoping that no one saw me snoozing on the floor. When I noted that the coast was clear, I quickly continued on my way to my room. Must have been more tired than I thought. So they just delete my memory. I guess I'm just like... So they just, you know, like that's the end of that, you know what I mean? But like, would Faye win, you know? Because she's the one, she's like the quote-unquote sub-route that I'm on. Would she like take over if I let her, if I did the poison thing? Ugh. I'm gonna... Fuck. Okay, I believe in you all. Whatever. Yes, give me the poison. Yep.
There.
Uh-huh. Yep.
We were gonna give this to her during the final celebration after the siege, but we're pretty sure that guard will be watching her like a hawk.
Then why give it to me?
Because she trusts you. I have a theory that she'll pull you aside, away from everyone else, to have a little chat before you're sent back to the human world.
How can you be so sure? Shadow smirked.
Because when we tried to send you home, she tried to slip in an extra item onto the spell reagent list. And according to my recent studies, it is actually very important to demons like her. I suspect that she was going to give it to you as a gift.
Since the gate spell didn't work, she probably took the time to find it herself. She'll take you aside and give it to you before you leave, which will give you the chance to be alone with her.
Right.
I guess it was a good thing you listened in then.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Is that really necessary?
It will lower the risk of her telling anyone about our plans until the chance arises. When it does, she'll remember everything and know what to do.
Yep. Okay. So, I kind of don't like that, but I just want to know if, you know, Diana falls, does Shadow still take over, or will Faye take over because of, like, me training with her? That is the question I want to ask. If not, then I might reload to that point, go back and do like, you know, like I believe in Diana, have them erase my memory and see what happened, like if they succeed in their assassination attempt. That is my question. So we'll see. It makes me so sad because I'm gonna have to kill her again. Ugh. Okay, I finally reached my room and let my body fall onto the bed. I let out a sigh of utter pleasure as I felt the cloud-like bed cradle my body on its surface. I was beyond happy. To think this insanity had started with a spirit haunting my body was mind-blowing. How is that even possible? No one would ever believe that, but it happened to me of all people. Then I was kidnapped and taken to the demon world by the demon lord, trapped here unless he or I died. Another crazy, improbable event that managed to happen. This entire week had become a wild roller coaster ride of excitement that I never would have expected. Sorry. Still, there was joy to be found in adventure, and my curiosity thanked destiny for letting me experience it. Now all I wanted was to get home and marry the man I loved. For real. As Erik finally entered the room at last, I smiled and sat up tiredly. Erik chuckled before sitting in bed beside me and wrapping his arms around me.
Are you alright, princess?
I am so good! Yeah, just tired. We held each other, locked in silence and unable to say anything more. We let the situation we had just gone through sink in, relieved we were going to be happy from now on together. All we could do in the moment was to hold each other and listen to our synchronized heartbeats. As the thought of tomorrow danced in my head, I began to grow fearful. Was I ready to go into battle? Was Erik? Were any of us, for that matter? We were about to walk into the final clash of a world war. Would we survive? Would I live to remain with Erik and feel his embrace again? Tomorrow brought too many questions to think about, and I became frustrated and scared. Well, at least this choice is obvious. We're gonna sleep. We would survive. We would be okay. I felt safe in Erik's arms, and I'm sure he felt safe in mine. We would return to the human world and be okay. Erik kissed my forehead, feeling my exhaustion, and we tucked ourselves in, wrapping each other in our arms and escaping one last time to the darkness of slumber, and made love in our dreams. Tomorrow would decide everything. I feel like we've gone through this so many times. So, yep. War.
Mirth! Avarice!
Yep.
Zero, you will be joining Shadow and Sergeant in the front, taking care of the main army head-on. I expect that you will come out of it alive.
Yes, my lady.
Rabbit, Faye, you are in charge of range attacks and defense. We cannot allow any of those blasted imps getting to us from behind.
Yes, ma'am!
As Diana looked to me, I grew slightly fearful. I had to get into the Demon Lord's castle, but how exactly did Diana plan on getting me there?
You and your fiancé will take the side route straight to the castle.
Yep. Wait, huh?
We've organized our army to
Yeah, tree line.
Trickles into the...
Yep. What is it?
If you are indeed attacked, you need to defend your fiancé the entire way there. Do not let him use his energy.
Are you out of your mind?
When you get to the castle, I will be fighting one-on-one with the Demon Lord. If something should happen to me, then I need you to take over. She is not ready to fight him, and you need to be at full strength to finish him off.
She'll be okay. She's got my magic with her.
Yeah, boy. I stared, listening and reforming the order. I couldn't lie, I was nervous. However, I was determined enough to see this through. I looked over at my fiancé with a confident smile. I got this. Don't worry, babes. Despite the worried look in his eyes, he nodded and held my hand, trusting me in my decision to agree with Diana's command. And
I will fly ahead and meet the demon.
Yep.
So, my warrior princess, are you ready?
Alright, that's my favorite line. That's my favorite thing he's called me. Warrior princess. I'm fucking ready now. Come on. I want to say yes, but I'm scared. Okay, here's what I would say. I'd be like, fuck yeah. Erik gave me a comforting smile and gently leaned down and kissed my cheek, wrapping his arms around me softly.
I promise. I will protect you from anything that comes our way.
I listened to him speak before nodding and taking in a deep breath. Everything would be okay. We would be fine. I had to believe in myself and to get us to the castle when the time was right. Yep, wartime.
Milites! Et hoc liberati sturei tramcun tuis omnibus conversiris. Sto vobiscum reducitic vos ad spem. Nocte, lavabir mur, arcem, hostium sanguine.
What is she saying?
She said that she will help them gain their freedom, and she will stand with them as they fight this war.
Is that all?
Well, she also said that the castle will be bathed in blood, but I don't believe she means it literally.
Dio dominati sun nostri. Nostre struet, ium mitere.
Yep.
To war! To battle!
Come, we must hurry.
Oh boy! Look at my red babe. Oh my god. That is amazing. I just want to take in that glory right now. Oh my goodness. I love how he's standing next to a rabbit, but damn, I love his markings and his horns are so sexy. Come, we must hurry. Yep.
Everything is in order. Sergeant Diana's guard are at the front lines, while Shadow is with his legion to the west.
Is our route clear?
We've done what we can to keep your way clear. We'll try to make sure the battle won't break through the path.
Oh. It seems like a friend needs to call me right this very second. So, yeah, I guess I will be right back. Oh gosh. Can I like mute my mic? Okay, this is so weird, but I'm actually going to just like mute my mic and keep the stream going. Well, no, okay. Shit. Okay, well, yeah. BRB, I guess. Okay, totally awkward. I thought it was like I thought my friend was in trouble, and no, she just wanted to confirm our plans for tomorrow. So, yeah, me and my friend are going to Hot Topic because they're having this like sale where you like fill up your bag and you get I think it's like 10 or 30% off, something like that. I probably won't fill my bag very much, but I always find things I want at Hot Topic, so you know. Yeah, and then I think we're also gonna try to go to this video game museum, but it's like this weird museum where you actually get to play. So you know, if there's any Guitar Hero, I'm gonna beat the high score there. That is my goal. Whenever I go to like any arcade style things and they have the Guitar Hero stand, I'm like, it's time to beat the records on it, because that's like my hidden talent. So yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry about that. I think on YouTube I should really like edit that out somehow. I haven't like used any editing software at all, but I will try. I will do my best. I will not use Windows Movie Maker because I'm on a Mac. So, okay. Anyway, I nodded, feeling the need to rush nip at my heels, pushing me forward. My fiancé seemed to agree, gripping my hand and walking at my pace alongside me. Time to go.
Straight through here.
Yep.
You'll be fine though. Just follow the tree.
In sync, my fiancé and I nodded in acknowledgement before turning and seeing the other brothers and their wives. So, this is it. Oh my god, just look at this sexy man. Oh my goodness. Love the red.
Remember your surroundings and protect each other.
I love how they're not, well, she wouldn't be in demon form, but he would be right now. Like,
be careful, alright? Make sure you stay safe.
Kick his dead body a couple times for me, alright? Right in the head.
We'll be right here rooting for you, watching your back, okay?
We'll finish this and rush in as soon as we can, alright?
Make sure you kick some serious ass. Show that old goat what he gets for messing with you.
I like this girl.
We'll win this. We know we can.
You can do this. We'll see you soon, okay?
I smiled despite the nerves running through my body. I held onto my fiancé's hand and gave it a hard squeeze before receiving one back in kind. We'll finish this, and then we'll go home. The group nodded before I slowly turned and looked into the tree line, took a breath, and rushed forward. Matching my speed, my love followed, weaving through the trees behind me not to lose sight of me. Okie dokie. The journey was surprisingly, dare I say it, peaceful? The sound of the war exploded beside us outside of the tree line, causing me to cover my ears a bit from the volume, but I shook my head and pressed forward, not wanting to become distracted. The goal was to set to the castle. I had to focus. As I rushed forward, I felt my instincts go aflutter, causing me to stop and remember that I could fly. My incubus skidded to a halt beside me, looking to me in out-of-breath confusion.
Princess, what's wrong?
I looked up at him, staring into his eyes and contemplating my plan. It took a lot of energy out of me, but it was faster than running. Plus, I would be holding him with me, adding onto the weight. I took a moment before mentally kicking the fuck it button. The fuck it button. Oh, I love it. I love it so much. I quickly grabbed my incubus's hand and pulled him close, tightly wrapping around an armpit and shooting a hand down to the ground. Fly! As my voice rang through the air, my feet suddenly were pushed up and off the ground, pulling my succubus along with me and causing him to wrap his arms around me in utter surprise and fear of falling.
Whoa!
Our bodies shot into the air above the trees and let us see the battle raging beside us. I stared in shock as the battle escalated between the two sides, slicing and ripping each other for territory and ground. Still, the thought of the castle ran through my mind, causing me to shake my head and fly us forward, and the incubus in my arm held me tighter. It was a little cute to think about him holding on to me like this for once, and as I guided us through the air. I knew that there were imps still in the forest below, however, so I glared into the trees and pointed a hand out, forming a familiar green orb in my hand, and chucked it into the woods. I repeated the action over and over as we continued forward. I could faintly hear the sounds of the imps below becoming caught in my thorns, some even crying out from actually being impacted by one of my orbs and being cocooned by a thorny trap. My incubus, despite probably being surprised at my carnage, ignored the sounds below us and held me close to him, knowing that if he let go, he would fall. I wasn't focused on him at the moment. All I cared about was getting us to the castle. By the time we reached the end of the forest, There were a slew of dead bodies behind us, all entangled in the forest of thorn bushes. I landed at the tree line, panting and feeling waves of exhaustion run through my body. I panted for air, slowly focusing on calming down as my energy quickly depleted from it, continued usage to keep me in the air. I see. Ugh. I always feel bad when that happens. That was all I could do before my energy was expended and a wave of exhaustion rolled through my body. I began to fall forward, exhausted. My fiancé, however, quickly rushed forward and caught me in his arms.
Whoa! Princess, are you okay?
I feel like that's been most his lines. Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? Huh? I looked up to see Erik staring down at me with a deeply concerned gaze. We were safe for a moment, so I merely smiled at him with a nod. I'm fine. I promise to protect you like you protect me. Erik let out a small laugh, kissing my forehead and hugging me to him.
You spoil me so much, my love.
Aw. Okay, that makes me happy. I hugged him back, feeling relief that we had finally arrived at the castle and were about to rush inside. As we slowly pulled away, Erik lifted me up and helped me to my feet.
Will you be all right?
Oh my god, I'm so tired of you asking me that. I nodded, shaking off exhaustion from my mind. I was ready to end this. He looked so serious. I looked up at the castle gates and felt a rush of determination run through me. Let's go finish this. With that, Erik and I rushed forward into the castle. The final battle had begun. Erik and I rushed into the castle and into the main hall, where we could hear Diana and the Demon Lord clashing swords.
I will tear you to shreds!
Oh shit, man. As we finally entered the space where the battle was happening, we stopped at the doorway, spotting Diana slamming her saber over and over onto the Demon Lord's sword, which was held over his head like a shield. From the look of it, the Demon Lord was severely wounded and was trying to hold out against Diana's barrage of blows. Diana wasn't looking too well herself, but she seemed to have the upper hand. What was scary was that Diana's face was completely smeared with blood, intensifying the frightening look of rage and anger in her eyes. Every swing was reckless, powerfully thrown to eventually hack into the Demon Lord. To her displeasure, the Demon Lord was able to block each time. Erik and I slowly stepped in, watching as Diana continued to beat steel to steel in an angry rage, trying to find an opening and becoming more enraged with each block the Demon Lord pulled. Slowly, his body began to glow, pulsing with red energy.
Enough!
Oh shit! With a blast of red lightning, Diana was sent flying back, slamming against a pillar and falling to the ground with a thud. Oh no! Diana! The Demon Lord seemed to ignore my shout as he stood and began to walk over towards Diana's fallen body. Diana tried to press up onto her hands, stumbling and buckling a bit, before she glared at the Demon Lord while approaching.
I should have waited until you came back, so I could have killed all of you in one fell swoop.
Oh shit. Yeah, you did. You said the wrong thing, bucko. Diana's glare intensified as large black and purple flames engulfed her body from the rage that ignited within her.
You bastard!
Pouncing off of the ground, Diana formed a new saber in her hand and flew at the Demon Lord, swinging it to slice his throat open. However, the Demon Lord parried, locking steel once more with her and leaning in with a hard glare of his own.
How does it feel to be the only one left alive in your family?
Oh shit!
Not even your unborn sister survived!
Oh shit! Diana snarled as she slammed her feet into the Demon Lord's chest, forcing him back and causing her to catch herself on her wings, remaining in the air. The voice that erupted from Diana's mouth sent shivers down my spine.
You don't even deserve the mercy of death!
Erik instinctively placed an arm in front of me, staying put and watching intently. Both of us were sure that Diana possibly had this, but we didn't want to get in the way of her rage if she was full out going berserk. The Demon Lord let a laugh before pointing his hand at Diana, summoning a large bolt of red lightning to shoot out and slam into Diana. Luckily, Diana had placed her sword between them and blocked the lightning from hitting her skin. Still, she was slammed back into the pillars she hit before and held there against a stream of heavy red lightning.
You're losing your power, Septimus! Just like your weak parry!
With a tearful scream, Diana began to push back, shaking and gritting her teeth. The wounds on her body began to bleed profusely, but she eventually set a wave of purple flame-like energy into her sword, letting it climb up the lightning bolt into the Demon Lord's hand. The Demon Lord quickly pulled his hand away, revealing a sizzling and burning aura around his palm and fingers. Diana weakened, fell to her knees, exhausted but not out yet. Her eyes still bore into her enemy, not ready to give up. Whoa! Dude, look at the babes! He looks so chill. He's got like purple tentacles, but he's got red horns and energy. I find that kind of weird. You'd think it'd be like red tentacles, but whatever. He looks cool though his face is a little too nonchalant. I felt myself glare hard at the Demon Lord. He was a monster that needed to be stopped. Eric, feeling my anger, stepped forward and began to summon his ethereal tendrils behind his back and around his form.
Guess it's time to step in.
As I watched as Eric rushed forward and planted his feet beside Diana, reeling his hands back and punching them forward. As he did, the crown of his tendrils shot up from the ground around his body and flew at the Demon Lord like a spray of arrows. The Demon Lord glared and sliced each attack out of the way, panting from exhaustion but not ready to surrender. As he sliced through the last one, he sneered at his second son, gritting his teeth.
You!
Eric smirked, licking his lips slightly.
Did you miss me, Father?
I love him! Finally, instead of like, before it was like Matthew, he was, like being taken advantage of, right? And Damien, spoiler, Damien, he, because he's the bastard son, he had some problems too. He was, I think, yeah. But, still, I feel like this is the first time that we get to see like the guy just be like, I'm ready to fuck some shit up. As he finished his sentence, Eric formed another round of spikes behind him and shot them towards his father, glaring as he blocked and knocked away each one again with his sword. The Demon Lord let out a dark chuckle.
Like I would miss little insect traitors like you.
Obviously, he missed us, considering he summoned me to get them to come through, so like, the Demon Lord let out a howl before slamming his giant sword into the floor, causing the ground to quake and a large crack to cut through the marble and charge at Eric's position. Hopefully you guys can't hear the fact that I'm trying to put on a jacket, because I know that my mic's probably moving all over the place, but I'm really cold. Okay. Eric jumped into the air and landed beside the broken earth, sending out another volley of spikes. Luckily, one rammed into the Demon Lord's shoulder, causing him to shout in pain. Oh yeah! Grah!
Losing your touch, aren't you?
I love you, Eric. You're great. Demon Lord snarled before ripping the spike out of his body, letting the wound bleed openly before rushing at his son with sword held high. However, Diana swooped in and slammed her saber into the path of his sword, forming a deadlock.
I'm not finished with you!
Oh shit, man. Diana and the Demon Lord pushed against each other, eventually jumping away from each other in aggravation. As Diana landed beside Eric, he stepped in and pointed his hands toward the ground, where his tendrils burrowed through the marble and jetted out like a spike trap. The Demon Lord was quick to react, pushing back before the spikes impaled him from below and glared. This match had become an unfair fight for him, but in our case, it was needed to finish him off at last. To me, I'm like, all's fair in love and war. And
just
it's war.
Just as cocky as your mother! Wonder she was my least favorite.
Nah, fuck you. Eric suddenly grew a dark face, the tendrils in his body glowing in a red, misty aura. Something snapped in Eric's emotions, and the Demon Lord triggered it.
Don't worry. I'll send you to a place where you'll never have to see her again.
Yeah. Eric and the Demon Lord then simultaneously rushed forward at each other, with the Demon Lord raising his sword high, and Eric moving his tendrils to wrap around his blade. Eric and the Demon Lord went into a deadlock, with the Demon Lord trying to cut through the hold his tendrils had on his sword. Eric, however, formed more free tendrils and shot them up at the Demon Lord from below, causing his father to release his sword and jump back, now unarmed. Eric smirked as his tendrils snapped the sword in half with insane ease, and tossed the two halves to the side to be forgotten. I watched in anxiousness, hoping this battle would end soon. It was 2 against 1. The Demon Lord wasn't going to win. I, however, kept my distance to make sure he wouldn't attack me instead. I had no energy to fight. Taking what Erik had done to his weapon, the Demon Lord snarled.
I can beat you even without my sword! Remember who raised you, boy!
Nah, you, bitch! Erik let out a bark of a laugh as his tendrils sharpened its spikes once again.
I'm afraid you're mistaken. My mother raised me. You were too busy doting on your favorite son to care about me or the others.
Yeah. The Demon Lord growled, his fist becoming engulfed in red bolts of lightning.
I created you! You owe your very existence to me.
I don't give a shit.
I owe you nothing!
The Demon Lord only laughed before suddenly gasping in pain. I had barely seen what had happened, but as I stared at the Demon Lord, I gasped at the sight. Protruding from the Demon Lord's chest were a spray of red spikes, dripping with his blood. I could barely keep staring as he turned and looked to us in shock. I looked over to Erik to see him pointing at the wall behind the Demon Lord, where a collection of spikes jutted through a black void into the Demon Lord's back, effectively skewering him. Ha ha! Nice!
You never paid attention. You were blinded by pride, and that will be your downfall.
Holy fuck, he's so cool. Erik is so cool!
No! He's mine!
Oh, come on, Diana. Erik quickly pulled back his tendrils from his father's body, causing the Demon Lord to fall forward from the pain and momentum. Diana, however, swooped at the Demon Lord and rammed her saber into his chest, a garbled gasp escaping his throat. Fuck yeah, man. Without hesitating, Diana pulled her sword out and stabbed him once again, driving her blade all the way through him to the hilt and snarling into his face.
Those were for my parents.
A third stab, directly through the heart.
For my sister!
Diana finally pulled her sword out and rammed the pommel into the side of his head, pushing him down into the ground in a lifeless thud. He was dead by now, eyes glazed over in death's cold, breathless embrace. However, Diana didn't care. Diana quickly straddled his waist, bringing up her saber and using her magic to shorten to a dagger with her hands above her head.
And for every life you took from this world!
Maddened, Diana began to violently slam and pepper stabs into the Demon Lord's chest. Oh god, that noise. Ugh. Erik rushed over and wrapped his arm around me, covering me from the sight, but he was unable to block the sound of Diana's sob-filled screams with each stab. I became a bit frightened at Diana and how she was releasing her anger. However, it was entirely justified. He had taken everything from her and caused worldwide chaos. It was only natural to demand revenge even after death. This was her last stand with him, and she had dominated his very corpse with her blade, uncaring of the lost spirit no longer within it. It went on for far too long, to the point where Erik had to let me go and walked forward, pulling Diana off of him. She began to flail, dropping her knife and letting it fade as it hit the ground into nothing.
No! Let go!
Diana!
Erik pulled Diana to her feet and gripped her shoulders, shaking her and glaring into her eyes.
Enough!
Diana's eyes were bloodshot, desperate to keep striking the dead body, but filled with emotion and broken inhibition. As she finally took in Erik's words, she shut her eyes and dropped to her knees, releasing a wave of sobs and cries. I walked over to Erik's side, pitying Diana. She must have seen so much death. This was her solace and chance to let go, to know her family was gone because of him retched pain into my heart, but I knew that it was finally over. They were avenged, and so were the many people who died under his hand. The Demon Lord was dead at last. I felt a weight lift off of my heart and spirit, proving to me that the curse was broken and that the chain that bound me to the abyssal plains was gone. I could go home. I hugged Erik's arms to me, finally letting out a sigh that I was holding in relief of the situation. Erik smiled and kissed my head.
It's over now.
Yeah, we can go home now. So, interestingly, one, I really thought that we were going to talk about the spirit. Second, normally I have battle decisions in this scene, and normally Diana either lives or dies, depending on how stupid I do the battle. This time it didn't have that, either one. A wave of joy rushed through my body, happy to know that I was free to go home. I began to become overjoyed with the idea of returning, walking across the aisle, and marrying Erik before returning to my normal life. Life in the demon world was an adventure, but it was time to finish this and leave. I smiled to Erik before kneeling down and placing a hand on Diana's shoulder as she cried, causing her to look up to me. I could only smile at her, try to relieve some of the heartache and burden she was releasing. It's over, Diana. We won. A small breath of silence ran through the air before Diana wiped tears from her eyes and nodded, still shaky from the experience.
It's over.
I nodded and gently helped Diana stand before taking Erik's hand and walking towards the entrance hall. Diana had returned back to look at the Demon Lord's body, stopping us in her tracks.
Was this all worth it? I lost my family because of him. There was so much bloodshed.
Diana tightened a fist at her side, gritting her teeth and shutting her eyes.
I didn't get to say goodbye to my family. My sister.
Aww. No, I felt another wave of empathy run through my body at her words. She wasn't really alone, though. She had Seto. He was truly everything she had left in the world, and he was more than willing to walk through it with her. It was all right, so I reached out to take her shoulder. Diana looked over, seeing the comfort in my eyes despite her broken gaze. Before I could speak, however, a familiar purple light flowed from the Demon Lord's body, catching her eyes and causing us all to look over in shock. What was happening? What the? Yay! Before our eyes, a faint purple orb slowly appeared and bobbed up and down in the air, looking to us. The orb that had haunted me and was expelled from me floated over the dead body of the Demon Lord, as if it had been there the entire time. You! The orb moved in a circle about the Demon Lord's body, letting the faint trace of trail behind it temporarily draw a circle in the air. As it returned to its spot, it released a pulse of light. The light slowly drifted towards Diana, impacting her chest and making her glow a bit before the light faded away. Confused, Diana stared at the spirit, trying to figure out what it had done to her. Was it an attack? Slowly, Diana became wide-eyed at it in familiarity. With a shaky hand, Diana reached out towards the orb, lost emotion in her eyes as she kept her sights on the spirit.
Oh, Arabelle!
I knew it! I stared at Diana in shock. It had a name? How did Diana know the spirit at all? It was like she was grasping at straws. How could Diana have known who it was? The orb floated forward, stopping in front of the Demon Lord's corpse as Diana took a step towards it.
Hi, Azair.
Aww. I was wrong. Diana hit the nail on the head with its name and seemed to be acquainted with it. Diana took a couple more steps forward before dropping to her knees in the middle of the hall. I watched as tears began to stream down her face and her body began to quake. The orb slowly floated over to Diana and hovered just within arm's reach of her. Diana's hands shakily lifted up past her chest and over her mouth.
Oh, Arabelle!
It's okay. It's okay, big sister.
Big sister? Diana was her... Diana suddenly let out a tearful gasp before grasping forward and taking the orb into her arms, somehow pulling the orb into a tight embrace. The orb seemed to shimmer in the hug it was in, but didn't seem to react in any other way. Diana, however, became a weeping mess, crying and shaking while holding Arabelle close.
Arabelle! Arabelle!
I couldn't believe it. The spirit was Arabelle, Diana's sister? What kind of coincidence was that? Pretty obvious one. How did Diana not know herself? How did Arabelle not tell me? It was obvious that it obviously knew Diana just from how they were embracing. Still, the sight of Diana in mournful tears gripped to my heart. Diana lost her sister and suddenly was able to speak to her once more, even after her death. It was as if fate wanted to apologize for taking her family away. I almost became a crying mess myself. Yeah, really, I'm like tearing up over here. It was a very tearful reunion after a dramatic battle. I didn't know how to feel in the situation we were in. Diana didn't seem to care as she continued to cry and hold Arabelle. Erik wrapped an arm around me, comforting me as I wiped my eyes and tried to avoid weeping. Diana, however, didn't seem to care about the tears running down her face.
This is the first time I've heard you cry, sister.
I'm sorry. I tried to save you, but
It's okay. The Demon Lord did this to me.
It suddenly made sense. Arabelle was an unborn baby. Oh! She wasn't even born. I thought she had been born already. Arabelle was an unborn baby, so it wouldn't have known its name. The Demon Lord was the one who killed her, so the puzzle pieces were connecting perfectly. Arabelle then phased out of Diana's hands, making the demoness gasp and look up at the orb. Arabelle, however, floated in place in front of Diana as she continued to speak.
The Demon Lord made me find the human.
Ah. What? Arabelle was working for the Demon Lord? She helped the imps bring me to the demon world?
Arabelle, you were in the human all along? Why not just tell me? Why?
He made me. But now I have nowhere to go.
Oh, Arabelle.
Something in the air didn't seem right. Something about Arabelle became off and I couldn't place my finger on it. The more I stared, the more concerned I became, and the heavier my nervousness and my gut grew.
Isaiah, I love you so much. But...
Oh, fuck. The air seemed to freeze and the room became still as Orabel floated back towards the body of the Demon Lord. As Orabel stopped, she began to glow a dark red and purple color. No!
I can't forgive you.
Oh, fuck! All at once, the orb flashed and vanished into thin air, only a misty gas present in the aftermath.
Orabel!
We looked around, trying to pin down where she had gone. As the Demon Lord's hand suddenly lifted up and slammed to the ground, we shot our heads back at his corpse, seeing it began to animate. The Demon Lord slammed his other hand into the ground and began to push himself up, curling his shoulders over and using whatever strength he had and getting onto his knees and eventually his feet. Oh, shit. What? Oh, it's possessed. The Demon Lord's body stood up and steadied itself on the ground on its 2 feet, heavy and void of life. What was happening? How could this be? As the Demon Lord's head lifted up to look at Diana, I gasped. His eyes were glossed over in a dark purple, almost black color. Blood continued to pour from the wounds of the body, but the body continued to move as if it had a small breath of life. His mouth dropped and began to mold itself into forming words, dead and echoey with Orabel's voice seeping through.
You let him kill me. You let him kill mother and father.
Orabel!
You let the human live and let us die. I can never forgive you.
The voice of the Demon Lord and Orabel seemed to fuse in a dissonant harmony as the body slowly began to march towards the unmoving Diana. Oh no! My mind screamed for her to move and run, but Diana didn't seem to be immobile at the oncoming danger. Diana, move! She remained in place, shocked and frozen at what her sister had said and done. I could barely make out her hair and body shuddering in natural fear, but she wouldn't move at all. Grab Diana, call out again. Well, we want to save her, so we're gonna grab her. Grab Diana. There was no way I was going to let Orabel hurt her, sister or not. I rushed forward and grabbed Diana by the horns. Oh God! Pulling her back as fast as I could. Diana gripped onto my hands, digging her nails into my skin, but I didn't care. I needed to bring her away from the oncoming enemy. As I dragged her back, Orabel watched, unamused by my intrusion. I could only glare back, despite Diana flailing in my arms. She wouldn't take her away. I wouldn't let her. I finally released Diana's horns and stepped forward, placing myself between the two sisters. I won't let you hurt her. Orabel loomed towards us, filling me with dread. The stench of the Demon Lord's corpse became unbearable, despite not being dead long. I still had no energy to fight, the realizations making me step back from the undead Demon Lord.
You hurt me!
Hurt me!
Now I'll hurt you!
Orabel picked up the Demon Lord's broken blade parts and slammed them together, fusing them back into one sword with her energy. How was that possible? She was a spirit! Orabel then started to charge at us, raising the sword barely over Erik's and my head. I prepared to defend, but was blocked by the back of Erik's head and a wave of ethereal tendrils. All at once, the tendril grabbed hold of the sword and forced it away. Around Erik's body was a deep aura of red and purple mist, swirling in the air and wrapping his summoned tendrils. As he stepped forward, Orabel surprisingly stepped back.
I won't let you hurt the one I love.
With a snarl, Orabel lunged at Erik, trying to wrap her arms around him, but was pushed away by Erik's tendrils. Orabel and Erik charged at one another, Orabel gripping to Erik's outstretched tendrils and began to push at each other. The wounds on the Demon Lord's body began to open and bleed further, causing it to quake as it pushed against Erik's strength.
You won't last long in that body. Give up.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
With her screams, Orabel knocked away the tendrils before her and managed to get close to Erik, but not without impaling herself on the traps Erik placed around him, which caused Spike to shoot up into the rotten body of the Demon Lord. Disgusted at the sight and smell, Erik used his tendrils to shove Orabel off of him and toward the opposite end of the room, where Orabel slid and rolled against a marble, painting it red and black with blood. Quickly, Orabel jumped back and began to howl and scream, her cries filling the room, making it quake violently. Gah! I held my head, trying to block out the sound, but her cries began to fill my head with dissonant pain. Erik, in defiance, sprayed a volley of spikes in the air, all landed on target. The spikes remained in the corpse, but Orabel continued to move, desperate to fight back with everything she had. What was wrong with her? Why was she able to keep going? Were spirits really that powerful? I quickly grabbed Diana, pulling her up to her feet, and ran for the cover of the room, needing to be in the room still to help Erik, but desperate to keep Orabel away from Diana.
Orabel!
Diana began to flail and fight back, but I dug my nails into Diana's thighs, forcing her back with gritted teeth. Diana, move! As Diana's back hit the corner of the room, I could hear Erik release a grunt of pain, causing me to look over my shoulder to see what was happening. Erik, having knocked away a slash from Orabel's sword, unfortunately couldn't block a fist from sending Erik flying at the wall. Eric's body slammed into the stone and he fell onto the ground, gasping for air and curled over himself from the pain. Erik! I instantly rushed over and knelt at Eric's side, wrapping an arm over him as he slowly began to rise back up.
I'm fine, princess.
No, you're not. I shook my head and looked at Orabel, seeing her slowly make her way towards us. I was uncertain that the body she was using was drained of any blood, yet she managed to keep it moving with her own energy. It was morbidly disgusting to see, but I was forced to bear witness as it came closer to where we were. What are we going to do? Erik and I looked at each other, desperate to find an answer in each other's eyes. However, one finally appeared in my mind. According to Diana, when I had Orabel within me, I was overflowing with energy. If I was still standing, then I still had some left. There wasn't enough to me to fight, but there was enough to give Erik, to possibly help him. I suddenly grabbed Erik's face and kissed him, willing my energy into his body. Erik, despite naturally accepting it, stared wide-eyed at me in surprise. Oh my god, can I hear that again? That was surprisingly sexy. I didn't want to pass out, so I pulled away when I began to feel lightheaded. I hoped and prayed that it was enough energy to end this fight, so I smiled at Erik, nodding to him. Finish this so we can go home. I quickly collapsed onto my hands, panting for air. The room began to spin, but I had to shake it off. I had to see this through. Erik gazed at me before nodding and turning to Orabel, who was halfway across the room now. Slowly, Erik rose to his feet and summoned his mob of tendrils, each dancing and waving like angry snakes in the air.
You've been in my way for long enough, spirit.
Walking forward, Erik slashed out his tendrils at Orabel, whipping and snapping at the body she was possessing and forcing it back, despite her attempts to block and force them away. Every so often, a spike would fly from Erik's ring of tendrils, piercing into Orabel like a skewer. As Erik passed the Demon Lord's sword, he reached down and picked it up, surprisingly with ease. I could barely stand, gripping onto the wall as I watched Erik lift the sword to his side.
You possessed my wife, brought her to this world, and dared to attack her, all because of what my father did to you. Pitiful.
Orabel let out a threatening and frightening shout, lurching forward to try and tackle Erik, but was pushed away by the Demon Lord's blade and Erik's tendrils, causing her to knock into and collapse into one of the nearby pillars. Orabel slowly rose, pushing the debris off her, before glaring hard at Erik. Erik glared back in kind before raising her father's blade up and to his side, preparing to charge forward with it to plunge into her.
I'll send you to purgatory and feel your suffering.
With one last cry, Erik ran and thrust the Demon Lord's sword forward into Orabel, causing her to cry out. The room began to vibrate and quake, causing me to cover my head. However, Erik released the hilt of the sword and rushed back to me. A bright light filled the room, blinding Erik and I. Erik gripped onto me, trying to cover my body with his, but the white color of the flash invaded my vision. Silence slowly consumed the air as my world became blank like a canvas. I looked up at last to see the spirit orb bobbing up and down in the air.
You saved me! Thank you! You freed me at last!
Orabel. The orb spun around itself once, releasing a small giggle. It seemed overjoyed despite what had just happened moments ago. Had Orabel been under some sort of corruption?
I can finally go home!
Orabel.
I turned my head to see Diana slowly walking forward to be by my side, staring at the orb in both sadness and relief. Orabel floated over to hover in front of Diana, a soft line of sadness in her voice.
I'm sorry, big sister,
It's all right. You're free now.
Diana wrapped her arms around Orabel, laying her cheek softly on the orb as it flickered a warm glow. The air was calm, and the love between Diana and Orabel seemed to hum with the orb's light. However, Diana was still alive, and I could tell that this was her final goodbye to the sister she never got to meet. It was heartwarming as well as bittersweet, but Diana deserved proper closure with the sister she grew to love.
Tell Mother and Father that I'm alright, okay?
I will.
Aww, Diana! Her story gets me every time. Ugh. Okay, Diana and I suddenly looked into the light around us, hearing a man's voice. Orabelle spun in a circle, letting out a happy gasp.
Father? Father!
Orabelle quickly left Diana's arms and began to fly into the bright light, but stopped and spoke once more.
Take care of the world, okay? You're everyone's mother now, sister.
Diana grinned and chuckled a bit, stray tears falling down the sides of her face.
I'll do my best.
Bye-bye, human!
Bye! I couldn't help waving as the orb finally faded into the light. God, fuck! Ugh! As the world returned me to the great hall, I found myself still wrapped in Erik's arms. I looked up to see him down at me in worry, like I had passed out. Erik?
Love, are you alright?
Oh my god. I need a counter for how many times he has fucking asked me that. I nodded. I was alright now. The battle was over and I was free to return home. Great sacrifices were made, but it was all over now. I was going home. Diana, who had been sitting in the corner of the room, braced her knees to her chest, taking in what had happened as well. I was positive that she was truly there with me to say goodbye to Orabelle, so she had to recuperate.
Sarah.
At her voice, a soft flash of light pulsed in front of her before revealing Seto, out of breath.
My lady!
Despite being out of breath, Seto quickly dropped to his knees and wrapped his arms around Diana.
I was on my way to tell you! We've won! We forced the enemy to dissolve and surrender and...
Shut up.
Oh shit! She's so mean! Seto flinched before Diana wrapped her arms around his chest and pulled him tightly against her.
Just hold me.
Seto stared down at Diana before nodding and embracing her, resting his head against hers comfortingly. I could barely hear soft sobbing coming from her, but I was glad to know that Seto was there for her. I looked up at Erik and smiled before kissing him, relishing in the victory of the rebellion and the release of my curse. I was finally going home. It was over. The war was finally over. Oh! As the smoke cleared, we were victorious. Yep. The tyranny of the Demon Lord had ended. But what now? Da-da-da-da. Home was now possible. We could go to the human world. Yep. We had to celebrate the success of war. Yep. Back to the hall. Happy smiles. Yes. Yes. Yes, we are going to follow her because this is the part where we are going to cry rivers. Follow her. She didn't speak work. Even Sarah didn't follow her. Yeah. Okay.
I have to thank you, dear.
For what?
For aiding us in this war. We've been fighting the Demon Lord for so long. We thought the war would never end. As terrible as the circumstance was, if you hadn't been summoned here, we probably would have still been fighting now.
Diana walked to the balcony and leaned against the railing, staring into the dark night sky. The light from the room illuminated her form as she gazed at the stars. Despite the situation around us, the air seemed calm, with a faint echo of celebrations whispering through the night. I walked over and stood beside her, leaning against the balcony. I looked at Diana as she smiled and let out a chuckle.
To be very honest, I didn't expect to ever see you again. After I took your energy that night, I vowed to never deal with humans again. No clairvoyance could have told me about you coming into play in this war.
I wasn't exactly counting on coming here. But it was good to see you again. Diana stared wide-eyed at me, a small form of blush on her cheeks. What? It was true. I was able to see another side of her, one that wasn't cruel and ruthless towards me. I guessed it was the real her, and I was happy to find out that she wasn't a terrible person after all. When you were in the human world, I never imagined you to be a nice person, but you did everything you did everything you could to mess with me and try to coerce the boys to return. Since I came, I know who you really are. You have a good heart, Diana, and I'm glad to know that now. Diana stared for a while before smiling softly, her eyes slightly glossing over in a sense of appreciation. She almost looked like a little girl for half a second, her face so full of innocence.
And you do as well, my friend.
Aw. Diana turned her body to me and held out a hand towards me. I smiled back and took her hand, gently shaking it before pulling her to me, surprising her. Aw. I wanted to hug her, so I did. Wrapped my arms around her body and felt her very slowly relax into my embrace. With a small breath and what I assumed to be a purr, Diana wrapped her arms around me and hugged back. Aw. Yay! Never would I have imagined embracing Diana and seeing her not as an enemy, but as a friend. But I'm gonna assassinate her, so, whatever. It was mind-boggling, but I was glad to know the real Diana now. Diana and I pulled away from each other and smiled before she stepped back to her original spot.
Oh, I had almost forgotten.
I tilted my head at her. What was she talking about? Diana lifted one of her hands towards the sky and waved her hand through the air, making a soft purple mist glow around her fingers. Within seconds, mist formed itself into a lavender-colored lily, resting peacefully between Diana's fingers. She brought it down and presented it to me with a kind gaze.
A gift, my dear.
A gift? I slowly took the flower out of Diana's hands and inspected it visually. It was light, but I could feel a soft glow of magic emanating from the stem and petals. The bloom reminded me of the human world lily, but something about it seemed otherworldly.
A flower known only to demons of Lilith. We call it the flower of Lilith, because these flowers were said to have been created when Lilith first appeared in the abyssal plains.
I stared at Diana, not understanding why she was giving me such a gift. She chuckled at my confusion and leaned against the railing, continuing her explanation.
It is also a flower we succubi use when we marry.
Use? What do you mean? Diana chuckled again before she gently took the flower from my hands and tucked it behind my ear. As it settled against my ear, the mist circled my head and formed into a flower crown of lavender lilies. The way Diana looked at me made me feel like I was already in my bridal gear.
A human you may be, but Lilith would have been proud to see you marrying one of her own. These flowers represent her blessing, and may only crown the worthy.
I felt a blush run across my cheeks. This was a blessing? I slowly reached up and ran my fingers along the flower crown, adorning my head, feeling the soft petals against my fingertips. They were almost pulsing with energy. I felt both flattered and honored that a simple flower felt that I was worthy enough to crown my head. Diana let out a sigh and looked to the sky, making me do the same. One would have expected the sky to be full of smoke or smell of a war's aftermath, but the sky was clear, and the fresh air drifted through my nose as I inhaled. It was indeed another world, and tonight was my last night in it.
I guess this will be my last night, won't it?
I don't even want to do this. Oh, God. What is she talking about? Yeah, dark. And she was willing to take it? Obviously, we are going to save. God, I hate myself. I bit my lip. I don't even want to read it.
You know, I'm thankful it was you who did this. I don't deserve to rule this world. I've done what I set out to do, and now that the war is over, my job is done. I'm glad that you are the one to let me know that.
Ugh.
It's all right. I understand. As vain and prideful as it sounds, I'm too powerful to be left alive. One last drink, then. For a job well done. I guess they wanted it to be painless. How kind.
I'm sorry.
Don't be. It's done. You should go, dear.
Faye floated just ahead of me with a look of sadness on their face. Why did they look that way? They weren't the one who did the deed.
Did you?
I nodded, unable to speak. Their frown deepened before they floated over towards me, stopping in front of me.
It's for the best. I promise.
I didn't want to speak to them. I had fulfilled my promise, and I would have to live with the memory of it forever. However, I didn't expect them to touch my head and cast a spell.
Time to forget now.
I stared wide-eyed, watching in surprise as my mind became lighter. Memories of what had happened began to slowly dissolve, and my heart became lighter at the loss of the memories. Was this some kind of joke? Before I knew it, I felt at ease where I stood. I was in the middle of the hallway with Faye, unsure of why I was there. What had happened?
Hey, silly, what are you doing out here? Your ride back home is waiting for you.
I stared at Faye, confused but determined to return where I was. The others were waiting and I was about to go home. I nodded with a smile before walking with them back to the main hall. I was going home.
Well, you did it, Jake! Nevertheless,
I mean, care.
Who would have, however, your love came through. Anyways, you've been, After the war was finished, the entire rebellion, you would think demons would be because of, well, because you decided to kill Diana. The rebels were able to take over and unite the world under their rule. I still will never understand why you did it, but I guess you had your reasons.
It's achievement hunting, okay?
I'll be honest, though. They don't exactly work well together. While the world accepted them as the rulers, the four of them really couldn't get it together. So they decided that only one of them should rule while the others should be advisors. It took them a while to decide who to let take the crown. In the end, Faye took up the throne. Their growth in training you and their instinct to point out possible dangers became a well-valued asset at the top of the world. But Fae demons aren't really the most responsible demons in the world. Soon enough, Fae left the throne, tired of trying to rule and escape to a remote part of the world, bent on rebuilding the clan that they had lost to the Demon Lord before the war happened.
Great.
The other demons tried to fix what they had done, but soon their rule crumbled and the world went back to being as it was, separated by kingdom and caste.
Wow.
And I believe that is everything that happened after Erik and you returned home, and since everything... how do I know?
Okay. That is so fucking stupid. I'm so mad. No, I'm not doing it. Remember, it's the promise I made, but I couldn't go through with it. Diana was my friend now, and she'd done so much for me in this world. She didn't deserve whatever the vial had in store for her. I took the I am so mad at Faye right now. Okay, I need to take a minute, or take a second to pause. Like, really? She just abandons the throne? She's like, it's for the best. And she abandons the throne? Ugh. No wonder her ending is called Faye's Abandonment. Oh, I'm so mad. I'm so freaking mad. Diana really is the best to rule. But, I mean, I'm glad to get the different endings just to, just to see. But yeah, so far this is terrible. Shadows so far is the worst. Faye's is just stupid because, I mean, I guess it makes sense, like, she was never really, like, present. Like, she's not, she's not ruler material, so her ending makes sense. And Diana is such a badass. Why would anyone want to kill her? Ugh, I'm just disgusted right now. Okay, just continue on. Can't be your last night. You have a world to rule. One drink is going to kill you. Diana stared at me, a look of pure confusion on her face, before she looked to the goblet in my hand, seeing it remaining pure. I smiled as she watched me lift the goblet to my lips and drink from it. In instinct, Diana reached for me in panic, but I stepped away from her, holding the goblet away. Hey, you gave it to me.
But it's...
Diana. I stared plainly at the succubus, reaching my free hand in my pocket and revealing the still corked vial. I held it out to her and she gently took it, staring at it before looking back at me. You deserve to rule this world. Anyone who says otherwise is an idiot. Diana's eyes began to water as her face became red and her lips began to tremble. Did she really expect me to use the vial? She held the vial tightly and covered her eyes, most likely not wanting me to see her cry. I felt incredibly sorry for her, seeing her weep silently. She was a target, and she expected her death to come around because of her standing as queen of the rebellion. What will Diana do when she officially takes the crown of the entire demon world? I waited as Diana rubbed her eyes and cleared her throat. She now finished with her personal breakdown. She looked at me and smiled slightly.
Well, I guess one drink won't hurt me, huh?
She twisted her free hand through the air and formed a second goblet, filled with the same liquid that was in my cup, and and raised it towards me. I smiled and clinked my goblet with hers.
Thank you, my dear.
To the new queen of the abyssal plains, long may she reign. We simultaneously dipped our drinks and let the words ring between us. It was a worthy toast, and Diana deserved it. She would be the new queen of the demon world.
Well, you did it!
Oh, so much better.
I mean, who would have thought that Diana's own sister was the one that brought you to the demon world? It's a small universe, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
However, your love came through in the end. With your strength, Erik was finally able to defeat Orabelle and send her to the afterlife, where she belonged. Anyways, you've been through a lot, so why don't we skip to... Huh? You want to know what happened after the war? Well, I mean, I guess I could tell you. After the war was finished, the entire rebellion celebrated.
Yes,
you would think demons would be the entire world united under one banner, the Lilith Crest. Diana became the sovereign of the entire plane, accepted and loved by practically everyone because of her devotion to the world and her bravery in the war. Sero, as devoted as ever, remained by her side as her loyal bodyguard. Diana became one of the most beloved rulers in all of Demon World history. Her natural heart of gold led her to lead the world to a prosperous future, one filled with peace and happiness. However, she had a long list of words to say against the rebel leaders. You did give her the vial of poison, after all.
They fucking deserve it!
While Diana had a heart of gold, she wasn't at all forgiving of what they had attempted to do to her through you. She made them choose between death or banishment from the Central Council.
Good.
Faye, Sargent, and Rabbit chose banishment. Shadow chose death.
Good.
And I believe that is everything that happened after... Well, except for your story, anyway.
I'm sorry. They're terrible for, like, wanting... Yeah.
Erik and you returned home, and since everything was taken care of before he found you, you got ready for the actual wedding.
Yay!
Huh? How do I know? Well, I have my ways. Maybe you should check it out.
I'm so ready. Let's go. Ooh, the air just kicked on. Air conditioning just like floated over my body. I was like, ooh. Now that I was unhindered by a spirit I couldn't control, I was able to finally move on and say yes to Erik with every ounce of my heart in our wedding vows. My entire being became light as I watched his expression melt into endless joy at my vows to him. Our kiss was as magical as a fairy tale prince and princess kiss, glowing in a positive and hopeful energy as the people who watched cheered in congratulations. I could go on and on about the wedding and the honeymoon, but honestly, after the war, I was more concerned of living my life afterwards. Our lives escalated to new heights after we officially became husband and wife. Erik started a chain of suit shops and had become a very powerful man in the fashion business industry. It was rather hilarious to see him square up James every fitting he needed with a smirk of equal standing to his once upper-tier brother. As for me, I began to go through my own success in life, dedicated to becoming exactly what I wanted to be. After all, my husband had made a name for himself in the fashion world. If I put the same amount of work in as I did in the demon world, then I was going to be okay. However, there was never a day that went by that I didn't think about what was happening in the abyssal plains. It was a heavy chapter of my life, one that tested the love between me and Erik. To think that I was under the influence of a child who needed to be set free still astounded me to no end. For a moment, I almost believed that I was pregnant instead. Thankfully, that wasn't the case. Still, I was confident that we'd be able to get through it and stay together no matter what came our way. Demon, devil, spirit, it didn't matter to us. We were unstoppable together. The faint memory of our own power slightly tickled through me every time I grew confident, eagerly reminding me that I had strength of my own. I would never let anyone come between me and Erik ever again. Thought of it all echoed in my mind as I sat in bed, looking up at the ceiling with a wide smile on my face. Despite the dangers being real, the war was an adventure, fun to look back on in my memories. I took in a breath and let out a sigh, leaning back against the bedpost, closing my eyes. I was at peace, and everything was all right.
Princess?
Whoa! Oh my god. He's so hot. Yes, hello, husbando. I love his hair. I can't get over his hair, though it is kind of funny because it's like, where's your other eye? Do you have one? Is it hidden? I opened my eyes at the sound of my pet name, looking up to see Erik at the door, smiling at me and holding a plate of food. Wow, he's so like, thanks, babe. Unlike the demon world, this world had the makings of pastries, eggs, bacon, and sausage, and other delicious concoctions made for the early morning. As I took sight of all my favorite foods on the plate in Erik's hand, I licked my lips and let out a happy hum. Hey, that looks delicious.
And it's all for you.
What? Share it with me? Oh my god. I was squealing internally, feeling a bit spoiled at the treatment he was giving me. As he walked over and sat on the edge of the bed, Erik handed me the plate and watched as I accepted it and took a bite at what he offered, groaning at the amazing taste. I bet he's like, just taking that in. He's like, yes, groan for me more. With a smile, I took some of it off the fork that was on the plate and offered it to Erik, seeing him stare at me in slight surprise before smiling and taking a bite, licking his lips after. Thank you, Erik. You spoil me.
Anything for you, my sweet princess.
Stop it. Just stab it. I giggled at the name, nuzzling Erik's hand as it came up to caress my cheek lovingly. His hands were always so soft and warm, perfect to hold me and make me feel loved and safe. I opened an eye to look at him cutely, seeing him blush with a smile of his own.
I would happily do anything for you.
You did prove that, yes. Haha, anything?
Anything. Just name it.
I have so many, like, naughty things to respond to this with. I'm just gonna keep it to myself. I cupped his hand and gently placed a kiss over his palm, feeling him stare in surprise at the gesture. I could almost hear the blush on his face intensifying before I even looked back at him to confirm it. He was red as an apple. I want to see that, okay? I want to see that. Perfect. I giggled again and nuzzled his hand, almost laying my head on it. Be with me forever? It took a small, cute moment for Erik to regain his composure before nodding, brushing his strand of hair behind my ear.
Forever and always.
Okay, that's my line. Okay? Literally, me and Kaiser tell each other that all the time. Okay? Back off. Hold me every day and every night.
As close as I can hold you to me.
Okay, not too close. You're probably like at super strength. I don't want you to get crushed. Like, that'd be gory. Sweet waves of joy rushed through me every answer he gave, confirming his devotion and love for me. I was so lucky to have him as my own, and I could tell that he believed himself to be the lucky one. In honesty, we were both the lucky ones, perfectly blending together and devoting ourselves to each other without second thoughts. We proved it in the demon world, and we would prove it for the rest of our lives. I gently pulled Erik towards me, moving the plate between us to the nightstand, smiling as he came close before capturing his lips with mine in a loving kiss. He was definitely surprised, but it wasn't long before he began to kiss back just as passionately. The gentle taste of roses and rain always made me feel at peace, and I always managed to find it on Erik's lips. He was my perfect prince, and I was his loving princess. Our mansion was a castle, and the human world was our kingdom to explore. What story could have been better? As we gently pulled away, we gazed into each other's eyes, becoming lost in them. All I could see was his purple irises were waves of love and care, filling my heart with everlasting peace. I began to wonder what he saw in my eyes. Whatever it was, he became entranced and could do nothing but wrap his free arm around me, pulling me to him lovingly.
Everything in my life belongs to you. My heart, my body, my soul, everything. I swear to give you everything I am and love you until the end of time. Nothing will tear me away from you.
Stop. You're killing me, man. I'm just like, it's too sweet. I'm dying. Rest in peace, Kaiser and Astraea. Erik. With a tender kiss on my forehead, Erik's expression softened to a gaze of deep love. Oh, it's too much. It's too much. I'm sweating.
I love you, princess. I love you so much.
I remember why he was like one of my favorite routes. Oh, I believed every word. I let his words embed themselves into my heart, and I would remember them forever. As Erik kissed me again, locking lips with mine, he sealed his words. I would love him and continue to hold him close for the rest of my life. Nothing would be able to tear me away from him any longer. and that was my perfect happily ever after. End. Hopelessly devoted to you. Aw. This is such a good name. Oh, I love it. Oh. Eric's so sweet. See, that's the problem with these kinds of games, is that, like, the romance is, like, so sweet that, like, I mean, I'm lucky enough that, honestly, I feel like I have a romance and partner that is, like, even better than this, like, fantasy, but I feel like, you know, for some people, this is probably really hard to, like, live up to. I mean, society's hard. Love is hard. Wait, is this different? Is there a different ending song at the end of every one? I just hear Diana singing to me. Okay, I'll shut up and let the song go. This is the same song as before. That's okay. It. I really wish I had been a Kickstarter backer. Like, this is totally worth the $10. So worth it. I'm gonna stop the credits because we've seen them before. So I got the achievement. Want to see the gallery. Go to Erik. One of the few times that we actually see the main character being super sexy. Both of them. Right. We're missing 2, I assume, to be from the bad end. So, God, him in a bad end, I bet is disastrous. Like, oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, holy shit. Oh my goodness gracious. So that was the good end to Erik. I'm really interested in the bad end. Yeah, but I'd have to go through and, like, I'd have to, like, choose them all badly, which I kind of don't feel like doing. I'm so bad. I'm sure I will go through and get the bad ends at some point, you know, whenever I feel like hating myself for a night. So who do we have left? Let's look at extras, gallery. Okay, so the 2 we have not done is James and Sam. And then I need to at some point redo Damien because I did do that route by myself. But not on here, so I should probably do that. Next will be Sam. And then James. So, reason I'm doing James last is because, I mean, he's the first son. In a lot of ways, he's kind of more of what I would consider like most people to go after first. But because once again, he's the main brother, he's the eldest son, so he's got like, I mean, you gotta know that there's gonna be like a huge like plot with his. And, you know, he's the intellectual, super strong type, so, you know, like, I mean, let's be honest, that's one of the most popular, at least in Atomi games, you know. Personally, so far, Diana's still #1 favorite, but Erik is definitely the second. Damien was cool, but he's just so soft-spoken. And then Matthew, I can't get into, like, baby boy thing. Like, even though, you know, he was all manly in his route, I was just kind of like, yeah. So, we'll see if Sam or James take over my preference. Yeah. So that will be up next time. I hope you look forward to it. Yeah. Thanks for watching or joining the stream if you are here. You are welcome to the kingdom of Kaiser and Estraya anytime. And I'll hopefully see you next time. Bye!